Yes. Finally, after 10 matches in the league, Roma gets a win at the San Siro against Inter Milan. Finally, people have been waiting for this for a very long time. I have awaited such a response from Mourinho's men, who unfortunately was not on the bench today. But overall, well, not overall, because this was a tale of two halves. I can't go there yet. 40 minutes. I'm very frustrated with the way that Roma is playing. I'm awaiting a response. I'm wondering why this team is just sitting back and like trying to absorb pressure, but not really doing so. And just so frustrated at first. Yeah, Vanyu jumps in. He says, "Been waiting for this," and I feel the exact same way, man. So in that first 40 minutes, just thinking to myself, like, wow, Roma's going to succumb 3 goals at the San Siro. I've seen this story before. Terrible weekend. Here we go again. But they improve. They start doing much better. We see them come out at the second half like a different team. They start, I would say, anticipating the ball a little bit more, not allowing Inter to have so much space like they previously did, closing down those channels, connecting a bit more between the defense and midfield. I thought that disconnect was a very big problem in the first half, the way that Dumfries and DiMarco were getting in and behind those lines. Paul's here, he says, very exciting second half. And yes, absolutely true. So on Twitter, I posted something. I mentioned that they needed 3 things. One, they had to occupy Çalhanoğlu and take away the passing and skill that he was implying on this match, implementing, not implying, on this match, and then close in that gap between the defense and the midfield, and then start to connect passes in the attacking third. I wouldn't say that they really did start to do that. I have to think that that's more of a managerial standpoint. I don't think that they were tactically put out there to go and combine. I think that they were just told they're out to go and hit them quick and on the counter. But even so, I do need to see them connect just a little bit more. They've got to have a little bit more of chemistry in that attacking third there. You see Dybala, who comes on as the number 9 into this one. Very surprising. Tammy Abraham pulled out of the starting lineup. Lorenzo Pellegrini, he looked a little bit confused again. Maybe I don't completely understand his role and what he's supposed to be doing in the final third, because sometimes as the center forward-ish type of player there, because he was dropping back into a central location when Roma were dispossessed, which was quite often in the first half. But then I believe what his movement was, what the manager wanted him to do, was swing out a little bit left once Roma got once they reclaimed possession and start to interchange and become a very fluid front three. Giallorossi says, Cristante was amazing today. Really good match from him, I thought as well. My coach, Coach K, he says, great win. Yes. I think this is one which speaks a lot of volumes and sets the tone on what this team can achieve for the remainder of the season and gives them a really positive momentum going into the November World Cup break, of course. Giallorossi saying we finally have a balanced team and just hoping they keep it. Yeah, as do I. And I think that one, I don't want to say problem that Mourinho has had, but one thing that we see is this is still a team under construction, one that is not the final product, one that's been plagued by injuries so far. If we think of Wijnaldum, Zaniolo's shoulder injury, it's important to remember that, okay, he didn't get a goal. He wasn't a major force in today's match, but he comes back after like almost a month of being laid off, and he gets his starting position back. So yeah, there's a lot to consider in context from today's match. Morin's here. He says, I was liking how we played in possession with Dybala, Zaniolo, and Pellegrini. Fluid movement. The one thing I would say to that, Morin, is that fluid movement comes in the second half. So that's something that which gets developed over time. And I think that's natural, because in this, I was just so surprised. Like, in the beginning, I felt motivated that Roma was going to go out and take advantage of the fact that Lukaku was not playing, that Brozovic could not be the linchpin in that midfield. So when I saw Dybala there, I was like, okay, maybe we're taking a little bit of a step backwards, and eventually it paid off. And then we see the second goal come in after Dybala is subbed out for Tammy Abraham. Dybala has been sensational. Yeah, this guy is just a tremendous player, and I think that he raises the bar of a Roma player since the days of Francesco Totti. They haven't had somebody who can really change a game He's the last number 10 in Italian football, I like to say. I think I read that. I can't remember who said that, but I read it once as soon as he was signed, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly it. That's what he is right now. And he shows that. I read that his injury is just cramps. So far, just keep your fingers crossed. And Paul says he'll be at the Derby, and that Dybala goal was wicked. Yeah, for sure. But to jump back to Cristante for a second here, consistently picked with different managers, and that says a lot. When you might get criticized on social media by fans, whatever it is, but when you fluctuate between different managers and you continue to be a starter, it has to say something about what you do for the rest of the team. And I always feel a little bit bad for Cristante based upon those Atalanta days and where he was scoring a lot of goals. And now he's put into a much more withdrawn position. He has a lot more tactical discipline. He's a lot less space that he's allowed to roam. But when he plays for Italy, like you saw this past week, he has some really good performances. So keep that in mind for what Cristante has done for this team and what he continues to bring with these different managers. Here we go. Deer says, this is something we have to fix, and it's up to our players to do it. Tactically, we didn't play the game. The manager prepared us. So I'm wondering, that's from Mancini as well, post-match. He's going to keep throwing those in for us. He says, we didn't play the way we wanted the first 10 to 15 minutes. We didn't press them high enough. I felt that same way. I had imagined the way that they were giving them so much liberty, giving that space to Inter, that was a managerial choice. But seeing that Mancini is saying it now, that wasn't the plan. So I have to wonder what the disconnect was. Is that the difference of having Mourinho on the bench and not? Because, of course, he was suspended. He was in the stands for this one. And he continues, thanks for these. This is something we have to fix, and it's up to the players to do it. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to bring up some banners here. Let's go. I got some nice ones here. We'll get into the stats. Ball possession. I can jump right over it. There we go. So possession was very much in Inter's favor. I don't think you needed a tactician to tell you that one, or Opta. XG, finally Roma scores above their predicted XG. Oftentimes you'll see Roma 3.5, 4 XG, and the scoreline reads 1 or 0 goals. Total shots, Inter getting the better of it, but big chances. Pay attention to that stat right there. Big chances. Inter 0. So as much space as Roma gave them on the flanks, Inter was unable to do much of it. And really, I think that's down to Chris Smalling. I think that's down to Mancini and Ibanez. Is the word mitigating? Putting away any real threat that came into the box. I don't like to see that many balls put in there, and don't quote me on that one, but I don't like to see that much pressure and that much action inside my box. But the back three has just been tremendous. What do we got here? Marco. Hey, Marco. He says, we played bad. We were lucky. We got the result, and we continue suffering under Mourinho. So 2 ways to think about it here. Roma plays a good half, a second half. But in the first half, like Marco is saying here, can Roma just continue to absorb that pressure and hope to grind out wins? Throughout his career, Mourinho he's done this quite a bit. But there's definitely two sides to the story. And one is what Marco is saying here, that they were lucky. That Roma was lucky, because when you have fewer chances, statistically, you score less goals. Or unlike Roma, ironically, this year, you have a lot of chances and you don't score any goals. But suffering, I think, is one hashtag of the day, if we want to call it that. Thanks, Coach. Yes, hit the button. You know where it is. Throw that on for me there, for sure. And the subscribe and all that, all the YouTube lingo, I should be saying. Paul's jumping in here, and he says it's a long season. And I have to agree with Paul. I'm just reading the comments without putting that one up. Nekorare says, how was Zaniolo? Guys, what do you think about Zaniolo today? I thought that this was clearly a game where he's put back in, and he needs to just get his rhythm to return. He does not get any favors in his way. All the calls go against him. Yellow card he picks up for kicking the ball away. I think that's like a silly rule. Unless a player kicks the ball into the stands, so what? He just kicked the ball away. That deserves a warning. So what? If he did that again, it would have been a double yellow. You're going to send a player out for getting frustrated after a nonsense call. And it's so frustrating, man. And Morin brings a great point. Whenever Zaniolo had the ball, five players go to him directly. They swarm him. They know once Zaniolo puts his head down, you don't know what's going to happen or where he's going to go. It's like a bull in a china shop. And I think one quality I like about him, which is very different from the other attackers on this team, is that he can hold those players off. He has like a wingspan to him where he makes himself, really hard to get around. And he's still a really shifty player. I think that I hope that some of that agility will return. Of course, he's done both ACLs in the past, but you got to keep pulling for him. And I need him to get a goal to shut up the haters, to shut up Italian media, is what I really think from him. Interesting. Paul says he's got some Argentinian friends who thinks he's not a good fit for Roma. He is perfect. Yeah, I don't know how that one could be addressed. And Roman says Chris and Ibanez are both in really good form, and it helps us a lot. Rui is on a decline. It's unfortunate for Rui, but I think 9 times out of 10, Rui does the right thing, and then it's just that one error just pops up there. He was fully extended, and it just slips past his arm. But I think that Rui Patricio brings a lot more good than he does bad to this team, because for the past, since Allison, we should make note that Roma hasn't had a top tier keeper, and one that provides the consistency or stability that Patricio does have back there. And once that ball is in the air, you can make certain that Patricio gets on the end of it. And yeah, unfortunately, sometimes he does have these errors, I think, which perhaps might come down to age, the strength in his arm, and actually being able to push that one out. I'm going to read some quotes here. Keep putting in the comments, but I'm going to move off of them for just 1 second here. Some comments from the man himself, Chris Smalling. He says, I'm very happy with this victory. This game is too important for us. We must continue like this before we go again on Thursday. So one thing that's bad about this season is that the amount of games that you have condensed, right? And of course, that can unfortunately lead to a lot of injuries. On the other hand, though, I like that Roma gets they can go immediately back to the drawing board and then implement what they've been taught. You don't have a long time to wait. So I like the fact that maybe the process can get sped up of them actually doing and making something special out of this team. So let's go on to the next banner there. He says, everyone fought to the last minute. There's a great team spirit here. And I think this was to Sky or to DAZN after the match. I believe he gave this one to Sky, not to AS Roma's official account. Everyone fought for the last minute. This is great team spirit here. Great team spirit. Think of in the past, non-existent team spirit, like players giving up on one another, players in Rome for the wrong reasons. But whatever you think about Mourinho tactically and his formations, whatever argument there might be that goes around, you can't fight the fact that what Chris is saying right here is that there is great team spirit, and that is an invaluable asset for this team, which is trying to take the next step and maybe win the Europa League and get back into the top 4 and do better. And next year will be Mourinho's 3rd year, so I'm expecting big things. Of course, statistically, that's been Mourinho's best. Actually, no, it's been his 2nd, but by his 3rd, I really do expect to see a well-oiled machine. One more from Smalling here. He says, I hope that I can continue to score more goals. It's not just 11 players. The whole squad is very strong this season because we have big objectives to aim for. Big objectives, like what I was just saying. And I think that they have the motivation behind them coming off a big win like this. Like I said, before the World Cup break, they can carry this. They can fine-tune these little movements, figure out how to approach these matches. And when okay, we're 5 minutes in, Roma's not playing their ideal game. This is not what we did in practice. That there will be that mental switch. And all of a sudden, Roma should learn, and it'll become second nature about how they can transform into the team that played in today's second half. Okay, I'm going to jump back to some of the comments for a second here. The upcoming fixtures, Paul says, we should get results. We must. Yes. Chris and Ibanez both in very good form. Roman says, for sure. We got to that one before. And Morin says, I love when Ibanez runs with the ball. It's similar to Zaniolo. He's like a train. It adds so much chaos. Yeah, totally. I saw that one today, and I really loved when he jumped out of his little defensive space there and he went in between the lines, getting closer to a midfield position there. And it really disrupts Inter's play, right? Because they're like, oh, shoot, now this guy is creating more options because he's not being marked, and the players are running off of Ibanez looking to get the ball. And if you compare last season's Ibanez, no way was he getting called up to Brazil. And now he was rewarded for this good play from the past 2 months, a month and a half, and gets called up to the Brazilian national team. I don't know if I mentioned that one so far. So really, really good stuff from him. And we needed him to grow. We needed that player to develop. Atalanta may be regretting selling him for the price that they did at this point in time. Roman mentioning about Rui Patricio here, and then his age not getting stronger or faster. Yeah, for sure. And then there's some question marks about Spilar. What type of player is he? I don't know too much about him, but I'm sure we will see in the Europa League. Marco says, be honest, do you think Mourinho is going to play more open and attacking game to get 6 points in the next 2 games? We have Lecce and Sampdoria. I think he's going to play defense at home against Lecce. Lecce surprised me a little bit. I saw them take that game to Inter where they lost in the last minute, and they played more, let's call it modern, less Italian, whatever you want to do here. But they wanted to get the ball further up the pitch. So perhaps you do see Mourinho go defensive again. Against Sampdoria, if Roma don't go and press a little bit more than we saw against Inter, I don't know if any team's going to score a goal. Sampdoria plays some really boring football. They have Sabiri, who's an interesting player. He scored against Spezia in the, Italian Coast Derby. Costa Italiana. Is that what they were calling it? That was a pretty cool game, though. Spezia eventually won that one, but Sampdoria, not a lot of threats there. So I would like to really see them get further up the pitch. Morin says, if we go to a back 4, who do you drop? Well, you definitely keep the 3 there. You probably drop Salik right now for the sake of there is no backup right back. And then if it's going to be Spinazzola, he's going to have to play a bit more of a defensive job, but I believe that he can, interchanging with Zalewski. So you go Spinazzola, Mancini, Smalling. Well, I don't know. That's a tough one because then you're not going to put Ibanez as a right back or even as a left back. That's a good question. I'm not sure, but maybe not all 3 of them do have to play. You got to remember there's also Kumbula now back. So I think this is probably a good problem to have. And when Wijnaldum comes back and maybe Roma do transition to a back 4, I think we'll get our answer. Well, we will get our answer if that's the case. So I'm going to guess Inzaghi. Yeah, this is an Inzaghi quote that Roman posted for me here. Tonight's loss was undeserved. This was clearly our best game of the season. Geez, does every big team wait until Roma to have their best game of the season? You know what? Sometimes football comes down to seconds and games change in those. And if you lose your concentration for just that split one, you pay the price and you get that where Chris Smalling not only grabs the goal to make Roma the 1-2 comeback winners, but also a game line clearance because you tell you what, he was focused for the 97 minutes that were played tonight. He was on the ball. So when it comes down to deserved is for the guy and the players and the team and the manager who paid attention every darn second of the match. So sometimes maybe your XG, you felt that your team had more possession. What did you do with that possession, Inzaghi? Did you have better goal scoring opportunities than Roma? Not really. You had a goal from Dzeko, which was called offsides. Then you had a goal from Di Marco, which honestly was a little bit corny because our keeper should have done better. So, saying it's not undeserved, maybe you should say, you know what? Next time we have to play a different sort of game. Maybe next time it's on me. When a coach goes out and say it's not deserved, I don't like that. You have to always be responsible for what happened on the field. When you go back with excuses, you look like a dog with its tail between its legs. So, yep, not good. As Coach K would say, NG, no good. Where's Coach's comments? There we go. Anyway, Inter were a little bit better than Roma, but only slightly. Inter weren't that good to me. I think with Brozovic, they just lose so much. Like he wasn't MVP last season because it went to Leao, but he easily could have been. And I think he got best midfielder of the season, though. When a team has someone like him who can really protect the defense, play the simple balls, restart possession and maintain it, he's a world-class player. I wouldn't be surprised if Croatia does something special in November as well. And they got really far. Was that just the last World Cup where they did so good? So yeah, with Brozovic, it's a different game. With Lukaku, it's a different game. But I tell you what, it's also a different game when Zaniolo's healthy and Karsdorp is there and Vinaldum is also present. So you know what? Both teams are enduring injuries right now. So I really don't want to hear it from Inzaghi. Yeah, smash that like button for sure. I gotta get like a little, I don't know, like a round of applause, like a sound or something that pops up. Is that the next level? I think so. Um, On to Dybala for a second. Dybala on Instagram, he says, I'm very happy for the victory in a difficult pitch like that at San Siro. Beautiful presentation. Continuiamo così. Continue so. Continuiamo così. That's always a great one in Italian. Um, so he's got that behind him, right? You know, I'm so glad it's just cramps. This guy can continue to play. Imagine what happens if this kid has a great World Cup. My wife says that he reminds her of me, which I think is funny. Like I guess like the I don't know, kind of like baby face, which I think is funny. But I've loved Dybala for so much, so I really appreciate that comparison, even if he's better looking. I'll take it as a compliment. What do you think about Betis? I just got a comment, and let me scroll down. Um, Sorry, Maureen, I'll come back to that in a second. Betis, a mystery. These Spanish sides, they're going to play possession based, but that might feed right into Mourinho's play. I don't need to remind you about that Barcelona that he deconstructed. This Roma is nowhere near that team, but you know what I'm trying to say here. Mourinho says, if we win when we are the worst team and lose when we are the better team, I would much rather play worse. Yeah. I think we get Atalanta next time. That was a magnificent take by Scalvini there. Look for Scalvini to enter the national team setup sooner or later. That kid's a really good player. And how much I regret that Roma was not able to grab Coop Miners last season, because he's been a phenomenal player. A real total center midfielder, one who drops back, regains possession, plays the ball forward, is athletic up and down. To call him a box-to-box is not fair, because I think he's a little bit more graceful than that. But this show is not about Toon Coop Miners. We're talking about Roma's 1-2 comeback victory over Inter Milan at the San Siro. First time, just to remind, first time in over 10 matches, which was Inter's best streak in over 80 years, where they had kept that momentum up on Roma. And the last win Roma had actually came at the San Siro in 2017. Where am I getting this info from? I've been reading a lot of the previews. Honestly, they really help me just get insight and prep before this stuff, and I looked them over. I've just become a little bit really ingrained in like these previews, because some of these writers out there, they do excellent research, and you're like, oh, how did you pull that statistic up? Sufyan says, have you seen Mourinho's Instagram story yet? I haven't, but I did post a picture on Twitter of him in the locker room with the boys. I should have brought that one up, which looked really good. I'm gonna guess it's that picture of him jumping in with Kamara. And speaking of him, I think Kamara is a midfielder who's going to integrate nicely into this team. And Sufyan also says Betis is a strong team, big fan base, great ambitions, and now they have a team that can fight to match that. So maybe that will be a good one. What happened to Kamara's injury? It looks like Tommy slid into him. Maybe he took some skin off of his shin. And then, of course, the Inter players were furious as Kamara went down. But that one looked like it really hurt. If you got hit like that against those studs and you paused for a second and you didn't move, I think that you could probably assume that you may have like broken your leg or something. So I don't blame Kamara for going down to the floor, because that looked like a really nasty tackle there. Godzilla says, Godzilla King. Hey, Godzilla says, congratulations for the win. I really like your username there. Thank you, man. He said that Mourinho made some videos of how he experienced the match. I got to check that out. Maybe midweek, I'll talk about that in one of these videos. Godzilla says, we played better than Roma at first, but Roma knew what they were doing. Yeah, it looks like that. It's easy to say that right after you come away with the win. And Roma very dangerous on the set pieces. Last season, they were the best in the league, and this season, they seem to and hopefully continue to do that. And Smalling has been a big part of that. Now we just need Gianluca Mancini to score a little bit more the way that he did at Atalanta, and something that really put him on the map for his goal scoring record. Um, this has been great, guys. I'm getting a lot of support, a lot more people in now. Spread the word. If you have Roma fans, send this to them on Reddit, whatever it is. Any groups that you're in on WhatsApp. There's another thing. I forget the name of it. It's got like, I don't know. Giuseppe from G Just Juve uses it. It's called like Send Me or Telegram. I think it's called Telegram. Anyway, but yes, please send this to them in the group chats and all that stuff because this makes it a really nice community. And I just love talking to everybody. So let's read anything else that's coming up on Forza Roma right now. So far, my talking points are done. As far as if somebody has anything they want to add here, I'm just going to look through the news. Some headlines here. Dybala in maschera. God save Chris Smalling. Dybala in the mask. And God save Chris Smalling. Yeah. Italians would write that, wouldn't they? And Smalling says, this is just coming from Italian headlines. It was a match that was just too important here, and I hope to continue to score. And I'm watching the video now. If you go to Mourinho's Instagram, let me play this. It says people are going crazy because he's going wild on the bus. All right, let's get past the commercials. I use forzaroma.info. That's a very good website. If you read Italian or if you just you want to translate to, I know that Google Chrome has a translate to English button or whatever language is your first language. And I want to see this for myself, though. Let's get past the commercials. Where is he? Oh, Mourinho. He shows himself on the bus, getting comfortable, and then everybody just chilling, his whole staff. And yeah, that looks like a pretty cool Pullman, the bus that they use for transporting the players. Godzilla says that he thinks that DiMarco was the only good Inter player today. I don't know why DiMarco has been kept on the bench as much as he was last season. When he came over from Verona, he was one of their most important players there. I forget who his center forward was. It wasn't Simeone at the time. Maybe it was. But there was somebody else that was really good. I think it was Caprari. I think it was DiMarco and Caprari were so good for Verona. Sufjan says Roma won on expected goals by 0.25, and Tammy had two good chances to kill the game. After this match, I went on Spaces on Twitter, and I had a Nigerian fan in there speaking, and he said one thing that Nigerian players do. His background is Nigerian, Tammy. He's English, but his parents came from Nigeria, and it says that one thing that they try to do a lot is slot the ball, center forwards. It's like a culture where the center forwards really just tried to put it away nicely. Whereas Tammy is this player who actually has such a good shot on him, like extending his leg and fully loading and getting some nice power behind it. But we've seen him miss I think at least two, perhaps three good goal scoring opportunities where he goes to slot it and they've gone wide, and they've actually gone wide left, I think, as well. Marco says, I saw you on Bepe's channel. You should have told him Juve isn't going to win anything while there's VAR and while Italian refs are closely watched by UEFA and FIFA. Yeah, I should have told him that, but Giuseppe is becoming a bit of a friend, so I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. But you have hai ragione, Marco. You have reason, and you might be right on that one. Lautaro got 2 Roma players booked, but again, did almost nothing. Tough one for him. Guys, keep the comments coming in. I'm going to check the news one more time. Let's check what Football Italia has to say. Sometimes they get good stuff that pops up as the time keeps going on. Maybe I'll get a nice banner in here too. Let's make this pretty, or I should say an overlay. Yeah, we can go back to this guy. I think he played a pretty good game, don't you? What a sick whipped in cross that was. Around the league as well, Juric gets sent off for lunging at officials. That's not good. That's sounding like a 3-match ban for Ivan Juric over at Torino. I don't know why he took that job in the first place. Inter equaled their worst start after 8 Serie A matches. Inzaghi, like I brought it up before, says, I saw my Inter again, best performance of the season. Let's get some other scores. Well, actually, it's still Saturday. The only other score I have was, the Milan game's going on right now, but was that Napoli beat up on that Torino side. So let's check the score of that real quick and see what's going on there. Empoli Milan tied at the end of the first half. It's looking like Empoli, the home team there. Milan, Pioli's got some explaining to do if he doesn't grab a win there. But I think he's overachieved, so maybe he doesn't have explaining to do. Godzilla says, once Roma scored from the set piece, our players were sent to their graves, and Roma just comfortably controlled the rest of the game. I like hearing that, especially from the perspective of an Inter fan. The fact that Roma did control that match there is, and they could be held to be trusted when they go up, and like everything's calm, it's cool, everyone, don't get too flustered. Whereas I say in the past, Roma may not have done that. They may have let the other team back into the game. Folti wins again. Salvatore Folti, the second in command, because Mourinho was in the stands for today. He said he's a pretty cool part of the staff that nobody actually knows all that much about. When he came in and Sacramento left, that great from last season began. That great. So Folti's he's got a good record right now. Yeah, and Sacramento was a big loss. Mourinho's right-hand man there, which was a tough one for him to lose. Yeah, Martin, that goal line clearance, I think, is just as important as his goal. It would have been such a bummer if Roma had drawn this match, especially after such a important comeback. I looked at my phone, and in one group chat on Twitter I'm in, it said Smalling. Somebody wrote Smalling, and then a bunch of letters, like they just smashed the keyword. And I'm saying, what did he do? Did he mess up? But I saw it was a set piece, and I go, oh no. And then he scored, and I was like, yes, thank you, finally. Oh boy, I'm hoping this guy gets back soon. It's looking like perhaps February with that break in his leg. Really feel for him. He's been posting a lot of stuff online about his recovery. You got to know that he's really itching to be back out there and be part of his success with this guy. We also need him back on the bench too. Let's look at Roma's schedule for the upcoming matches. So they're going to return to the Conference League with Betis on October 6th. That's 5 days away. That is at 3 p.m. New York time, 9 p.m. Italian time. Then Lecce on October 9th. That's a Sunday, also at 2:45 New York time. And then it's back actually to Real Betis. So on that turnaround, it's a quick turnaround for the Europa League right there. That's Thursday. So another Thursday match before Sampdoria on October 17th. And that's going to be, that must be a Monday match at 12:30. Bummer. Yeah, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's going to be a Monday. I wish they should change that. Come on, you have to respect your North American fan base, Serie A. They should make that more accessible. And right before the World Cup break, we get hopefully one where Roma can climb up the table and take some points off of the King, who I expect to still be Napoli at that point in time. That's October 23rd, 2:45 p.m. New York time. Before the October 27th, then you start off in the Europa League again against Helsinki with HJK. That's October 27th. So that's what the month looks like. You have to say that it's not too many difficult matches. If I'm looking at this game against Napoli, of course, that's the marquee matchup right there. But then within the league, not so bad, just Sampdoria and Lecce. Let me jump back to the comments here. Godzilla King says, Betis and Barcelona are next for both teams. It's a tough one for Inter. Inter should they're gonna have a tough one. I expect them to also continue to drop points, maybe not lose, but to continue to draw these matches as the team gets worn a little bit thin with Lukaku on the bench. It's going to be hard for them, especially like if you look at a team like Atalanta, right? They have an advantage over Roma, Milan, Napoli, and Inter because they're not playing in Europe, not at all. So while yes, they're doing very well, they're taking advantage of the fact that they can just ride on off into the sunset without having to worry about their players getting too tired. So lucky them. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in that one too. Lewandowski, best striker along with Benzema for the past decade. I think we would all agree on that one, right? But the next 10 years belong to Holland. Let's admit it. City just some good business there. Oh, guys, 27 over 30 people at one time joining this chat. That is a record for me. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting this channel. it's been really great. I do this for fun. I do this because I love the team, and I know that you do too. If you're spending time on this on a Saturday, and I'm sure that you have your if you're single, I'm sure that there's something better you could be doing. You could be out, going to the clubs or partying right now. Or if you have a partner, I'm sure they're probably yelling at you like, "Get off YouTube, come back, do the dishes," or something like that. But no, really, I appreciate your time and writing the comments, everybody, and spending this with me. And it's very nice to enter this weekend and to be able to just come off of a big win. For the past several seasons, Roma has really struggled against the teams in the top five. But finally, at the right time, in a match where all the conditions seem just about right, Roma maximize that and they get 3 points at a very difficult stadium and one that might not be part of Italian football too much longer, the San Siro. Yeah, I how do I feel about that? I hope Vlahovic does, but not for Inter. Maybe when he joins Manchester United for 150 million this summer that's what I'm feeling for him. Vlahovic, a real top player, quality there. Let's see what Serbia does in the World Cup. Um, Anything else before I sign off, guys? What are you having for dinner? I'm going out for some pizza, and I can't wait. I'm going to stuff my face. So it's going to be more of a celebration. It's a whole Napoli bar, too, so they'll probably be partying as well in Manhattan. And like I said, only cramps for Dybala, which is a really good thing. And what did Mancini says? He says today we were the stronger team. Prendere gol sulla palla in attiva fa rosicare. To take a ball, it makes you like prendere gol sulla palla. He's saying like it's very frustrating when you don't play a good match or when you play a good match and then you succumb to a goal. Rosicare, which I believe is a Roman verb there, which is like rosicare is like to complain or to like when something goes against the grain. It's like rosicare to it is like to complain, but it's a little bit different in the sense that it's like when things are continue to go against you, like maybe like your girlfriend leaves you and you're complaining and this and that, and then you know rosicando, I believe is how you maybe some Romans want to correct me on my grammar there. Marco says he's Serbian. He says Vlahovic doesn't know how to play football outside of the box. And Godzilla says he's from Serbia too. So we've got the contingency here. I think you guys are going to do good in this World Cup, if I'm honest with you, Marco and Godzilla. Only thoughts on Volpato's contract renewal. I'm pumped. I was going to say stoked, but I'm from the East Coast, not the West Coast, so I won't use that word. I'm pumped to see Volpato get this contract extension. You know who his agent is, the King of Rome himself. And I don't believe that he would acquire a player unless he really thought that he could become the next big thing. And he's this number 10 who makes things happen. I'm so glad that Roma did not sell him for Fratesi. Carnevali is a shrewd sporting director. And Sassuolo, that family, has deep pockets. Did I say Carnevali? Who's the owner is Squinzi family was who owned it. I think he passed away last year, but his family still controls it. And they are, deep pockets on that team. They don't have to sell anybody, especially after they sold Scamacca and Berardi is still there. And they sold Raspadori. So that's a team who they like to keep hold of their gems as long as they're willing to stick around. Guys, like Coach K said, smash the like button. Let me go back to that one. I got to find that. I like that. It's way up here. Smash the like button, leave comments, all that stuff. I think it's good for YouTube algorithms as well. As you can tell, my setup, actually I'm using a box. I forgot my tripod at my mom's house. I don't have my microphone in. I'm just using typical or what's out of the box headphones today, but I hope it sounds pretty good. Anyway, guys, thank you so much and leave comments. Ciao. Big win. Dai Roma.